What have I discovered is the biggest benefit of homeschooling? Hi, I'm Heather, former classroom teacher of nearly 2 decades. I taught public school for most of my career, and I taught a little bit of private school as well. I've taught elementary primarily, but I've also done a little middle school, and I've also worked with children with behavioral challenges. I've had so many years in the system to recognize clearly what I love about not being a part of any form of systems. Leaving the system, leaving the pressures of the public school system for myself as a teacher, and then in periods of time when my children have been in the system. It's so much outside of ourselves. In the process of homeschooling, we've been able to slow our pace down. Spending these years with my children have helped me to see where I had space to grow. Then, having time and space to get to know me. The more I get to know myself, the better my relationships are with my children. My children have been my biggest mirrors in life. I noticed instantly when they were born that I was going to have to grow to exist as a mom. It's such an intense job to be a mom. And if I don't know who I am, what I like, what makes me tick, what makes me happy, what passions I have, how can I model for them how to navigate this world themselves? I grew up in a very traditional family. All of the expectations of me were already laid out. I was tracked right into the public system. I was 4.5 years old when I entered kindergarten. I happened to have the latest birthday of all the children in my class, and so I was 4.5 years at the start of kindergarten, which was really challenging for me throughout my entire experience because there were children in my class, numerous children in my class that were virtually a year older than me, having a January birthday when mine was a late December birthday. And so that was already something that was really challenging for me. The expectations didn't change for me by the public school's definition of what's expected of a child who's in kindergarten, who's in first grade, who's in second grade, who's in third grade. It was just I had to try to keep up. My life looked very much like everybody else's traditional life, right? You had your home structure and you had your school structure. Those two things existed side by side. There was no other option for most families. Homeschooling was pretty rare back in the 70s, and I didn't know anybody that did it. So I did my part as a child. Right? I did the things that were expected of me. I was expected to go to school each and every day, Monday through Friday. I would hold myself throughout my days of my school, doing all of the things I was told to do. I mean, I just even remember my nervous system just being so shot because I was trying to hold myself and be good all of the time throughout my school days, and then come home and I would have this decompression because when we got home in the 70s, it was all outdoor play. That's all anybody ever did. So we ran and played with the neighbors all afternoon, all evening, and our parents didn't even know where we were, right? And then on the weekends, it would be very similar. I mean, I just remember just playing out in the woods, making mud pies, just playing imaginatively, and all the things that just felt enjoyable to me as a child. So my life was very divided by free play and this structured family system and this structured schooling system. It was almost like an oxymoron, right? Like, I'm just loving this freedom and space to play with my siblings and my neighbors and my friends. It's almost like I can look back and see that I had sort of these 3 different compartments to my life. I had my freedom through my play after school and on the weekends when I was allowed to. And then I had my family system, which was very traditional in nature. And then I was a part of this schooling system that was extremely traditional in nature. And I was divided into these three different worlds, these three different compartments. And the two systems felt very conflicting to this space and time I had in my freedom as a child who got to play. I mean, I'm so grateful that I grew up in the 70s because I really got to see what freedom feels like. I got to see and experience what that free play did for me. But the systems that I was a part of, that family structure, that school structure, broke me down. I don't know how else to say it other than that. It broke me down. Being split between these three different worlds, or what I can reflect back and see now, it's like I was so divided between my experience as being fully free in myself and then having to just conform in the other two compartments of my life, the family structure and the schooling system. It's only been this past year where my body shut down from a health challenge I've been going through, where I no longer could work. I no longer could be outside of myself, meeting the needs of all of the systems that existed in my life. I've stripped it all down, spent the last year plus virtually at home, virtually in my bedroom. Sitting is only something that I can do for a short period of time due to this challenge that I'm working through, but it's allowed me to see myself. It's allowed me to get to know myself. It's allowed me to have this time where I've been able to find the true value in living life. And so even though I was already setting my children up for success in life that I felt was most important for them, which is for them to identify their passions, but more than identify them, just know that they're able to have passions in life and that those passions can just keep changing and evolving and growing, and just the idea that they can just be open to the world and enjoy it as they choose to enjoy it. I had a conversation with my daughter yesterday. It's really just amazing to see how our children navigate the world and to reflect back to them when we notice that they are, getting clues about what they want and what they don't want to be a part of their life. So my daughter has recently, she's 15 years old, and she has recently gotten out of a 2-year relationship. And she's revealing a bit more the things that she really didn't like in that relationship. And so the conversation is, isn't that so wonderful that you got to experience some things that you didn't like, so that now you can go in the direction of something that you do like and that you do want. And so that kind of model of learning through life what you don't want, so that then you can draw, bring into your life what you do want, then you can have a really incredible life. I didn't know that as a child. I didn't know that as a child because I was constantly meeting the needs of everybody else. I was constantly giving myself and my own desires up to meet the system, not just the system of the school system, but the system of the family structure. So I learned from being in a family structure that was very traditional that I didn't want to provide that environment to my children. I wanted the environment at our home to feel like it did when I was out and playing in the woods, having that full freedom. I wanted my children to experience that full freedom in their full life. That was the missing ingredient in my childhood. It's almost like I learned that that play is only as a reward for working hard, because the systems taught me work hard, then you get to rest and play. But I've learned in the process that it's very much the other way around. Play, and learn what you do want in life. And then you can work in a job or in a business that you create. Then you can create the life that you want to have for yourself. It's so much the opposite thinking. I don't even know if I'm conveying it well enough. I wanted my children to experience freedom so that they can learn and grow and choose whatever they feel is best for them. When you homeschool, you have this unique opportunity to slow your life down, to rest, to experience, to dabble, to be out in the world and have little expectations as to how you need to fit into any sort of system or box. You're living the life as you want it to be lived, as a family, navigating it together. Not just what I want for everybody, but also what my daughter wants for herself and what my son wants for himself. We all get to do this together. And it's really amazing and beautiful. So I really just wanted to start this conversation about freedom, because that freeing of yourself, that breaking all of the patterns, I even have to move my body and be like, breaking all of the beliefs and the patterns and the you must do, you must behave, you are expected to, none of those things are true. They're just not true. We were disillusioned in our childhood, those of us that attended the system, those of us that were brought up to believe that we need to give ourselves away in order to be able to stay in this society. That is most definitely not true. Freedom is the path to learning who we are. It's the path to experience the life that we want to have. I want my children to experience the absolute best lives. It's taken me all of my years of living to really know what I want for my children, but not just what I want for my children, what I want for myself. And we're all doing this in different ways, my children and I, right? Because we're unique individuals. My path has changed so drastically in the past 5 years. I ended a marriage that I was in that just was not serving of myself or my children. I have gone back into the system of teaching and left it. I faced a health challenge that shut my world down. I've never been more true to myself and known myself better than I have in these past few years. That knowing of myself has allowed me to get to know my children, each of them, in a much deeper way. Our relationships are healthier and better than I could ever have dreamed of. See, I really wanted to become a mom because I didn't have relationships with my parents, and I wanted to put the relationship at the forefront. But it's taken time. My daughter is 15, my son is 12, and yes, I've always had a relationship with them, and it's always been very special to me, but I can look back now and I can see the gaps in our relationships, and that's been because I haven't known myself. It's like that example of, You have to put the mask on yourself first. You can't give to others until you give to yourself. Like, I really did not understand that until recently, when I had to provide for myself. I had to put myself first. And now I understand why we truly can't give outside of ourselves until we give to ourselves. And that equation of giving to myself, getting to know myself, now has me in the best relationships with my children. I can see them, I can hear them, and I can love them fully. I always tried to do those three things. I knew that those three things were the most important things for my children, but I couldn't give them fully because I had to know myself first. Freedom is truly the answer. Freedom provides children with an empty palette, with a wide open space, with room for successes and room for failures, room for experimentation, room for trial, room for error. It is through all of the experience in the space of freedom that one can absolutely get to know themselves and know what they desire in life. My role as a parent is to prepare my children for adulthood without me. As a parent, I can be there, I can be by their side. Here's an example. My daughter lately has been challenged by the cleaning up of her room. Her path right now, she's chosen to be a part of the public school. So she is just finishing up her freshman year by choice. It's a numbers game for her. She physically wants to have a mass quantity of other children, other potential peers, other potential people she can relate to. Even though she knows all the flaws of the system and she's got her eyes wide open, it's the choice that she makes to go into that school every day. But she also is learning how much it depletes her. And so these last 3 months of school, she's been almost crippled by the ability to manage cleaning her bedroom. And I really started to recognize it when it began. And so I was starting in the morning to just kind of go in there and just give it a quick cleanup, just to help her out a little bit. Drape her blanket back on her bed, put her pillows in place. Maybe there were 3 or 4 articles of clothing that she put on the floor because she was in a hurry. And I remember being a teenager and having an outfit on and not liking it, and putting on another outfit, not liking it, and putting on. So I completely understand that. And so I just picked those up and maybe fold them and put them on her bed for her to put away. And at some point, she said to me, "I've got this, Mom, I've got this. You don't need to do that cleanup for me each day." I said, "Okay, I hear you." And so I stopped doing it. And her room just turned ugly is the word I want to say. It turned ugly really fast, to the point where she had her last day of school last week, and she looked at me and I looked at her and she said, "I need your help. Like, I need your help." And so I got into her room last week, and it was, layers upon layers upon layers of just stuff. And she said to me, "I just was really overwhelmed in school, and I just didn't have any part of me that could do it." And I said, I know, I recognize that, and that's why I wanted to help you. And in that experience, we had a conversation about how she needs my support on a daily basis in order to be able to be a part of the system. There's a certain depletion of her system. She also has a job by choice, and so going to school, working part-time 4 days a week, and having all of your home responsibilities in my home, it's you care for your space and then you lend a hand to the whole space of our home. And so she just hasn't been able to keep up with that. And so together we're going to do that. And it's going to look like at the end of the day, I'm going to say to her, is there anything I can do to help you prepare for tomorrow? This is what we agreed together is what she needs. And so I still have eyes on that as a parent. I can be there. I can be a part of that process for her, as that is something that she needs right now. When she's an adult and she's on her own, these things are all of her responsibility. Best way that I can prepare my children for their adult lives so that they're thriving in their adult lives is to show them the path. I can show them by doing it. I can do it with them, and then I can let them try it on their own. And when they need me to come back into that space of being by their side or doing it for them and showing them again, I'm there for them. The pace of life can be so much slower if we want it to be. And homeschooling is a great opportunity to let that happen. The three of us have very different things that we're doing in our life, right? I'm on this path of self-discovery. I'm growing in myself. I'm understanding that I am this free being that gets to do whatever it is that I want. I can play in this life. Of course, there's responsibilities in life, but there's no reason that I can't feel good in my life and create ways to meet the responsibilities with joy and with happiness. And I want to model that for my children. I don't want to model hard and challenging and you must do and you must meet, and these are the things that I expect of you. No, I want them to have those things for themselves because they genuinely desire it. They have a self-motivation. They have an intrinsic desire to learn and grow. They want to be a light out in the world, sharing themselves with other people. My son also has his unique path. He's 12 years old and he's really coming into himself lately. He is sort of becoming certain about the things he's certain about, which I never saw from him until this year. In fact, only the past maybe few months, to the point where his light is on in his room and it's daytime, and I think, well, there's no reason to have that light on. I would always come in and turn the light off. Now, when I come in to go to turn the light off, he turns around and he says, I got it, Mom. I got it, Mom. And he's doing that with sort of all parts of his life. And it's really amazing. I'm like so thrilled to see this because he came straight into freedom. My daughter had a few years where I was still public school teacher. I was raising my child with sort of these expectations. Oh, she's going to be this early reader. She's going to be this early writer. All these crazy, wacky things that maybe because I was a public school teacher, I thought were important. But my son, when he came in, we were already on the path of homeschooling, specifically radical unschooling. And so my son came right into this path where he was able to make his own decisions. He came into full freedom. Now that path has evolved drastically because I've grown in myself. The more that I've grown into myself, the more my children have been able to grow into their self. What better feeling for our children to have than to know that they get to exist within themselves. They get to choose what they want for their own lives. Thanks so much for being with me today. I appreciate this time with you. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.